everybody, welcome to Hann-Made Studio. I'm Cheryl Hann-Woodlock. So you want to do outside sculptures and do your mosaics on them without them falling off. I'm going to show you how. Join me soon. Bye. So here at Hann-Made Studio, we'd like to say thank you for watching. We're ready now to make our concrete adhesive. This is the concrete adhesive that will go outside. It will cope with the wet weather that we have, and our tiles won't fall off. I have here my black grout from Davco, and I've got the Davco glass additive. It's mosaic glass additive, and it is perfect for what we are about to do. The reason I use Davco is not because it is the best on the market. It's very easy to get. So to get something that is just at the local Bunnings is fantastic. It's Australian made, so that's why I'm using the Davco. There are other products out on the market. It's your preference, but this is the one I'm going to be using for today, and it actually works. For getting the grout out and for mixing, I'm actually going to be using a dust mask. The grout is actually made up of silica. Silica, when it gets into your lungs, actually doesn't come out. It causes cancer of the lungs. So you must be very diligent when you are working with grout. Don the mask. I'm only going to mix up 2 tablespoons. I don't need more than that for this project. If I mix up too much at once, it only has an open life. That means when it's mixed up with its adhesive, the liquid, it only really has around about 2 hours at the most. So if you're going to need more, mix up a fresh batch. Don't waste it. Now I'm going to add my glass mosaic additive. How much do I need? For 2 tablespoons, I'm actually going to put 2 capfuls in to start. Wipe that back so the lid doesn't stick. And then we'll start mixing. Now, I use a knife when I'm mixing because otherwise, when you use a spoon, it actually gets caught and it doesn't mix as well. I find a knife actually works a lot better. And what we're looking for is a toothpaste-like consistency. So we'll keep going. A knife also means I can go around the edges and clear that, so I can get into everything. So a knife works really well. That is a little bit runny for what I want. I need to add a little bit more grout. Now that is a good consistency. It's not too runny, it's sort of holding onto the knife, but it's just got a little bit of movement. I'm going to let that sit for 5 minutes and then I'll be back and remix it. We need to leave it for 5 minutes because there's a chemical reaction that is going to happen, and in 5 minutes time, it'll almost be ready to start. We'll see you soon. I've waited 5 minutes. I don't need my mask anymore because we no longer have the powder. It's now a liquid. So give it another stir. The chemical reaction is happening really nicely. Get that moving around and we have a good adhesive. Now I'm going to put my adhesive into a baggie. And I do a baggie my way. I saw this when I was in Venice at Artefact Mosaico, and I found it was a really, really good way of making a baggie to pipe out your adhesive. We're going to have 2 bags. We're going to go from this bag to this bag. we're just going to fold this piece over and make a triangle. And then I'm just going to put a piece of sticky tape where that joint. The sticky tape sits on top. I've got a little bit extra. I'm just going to fold that around. And that is now glued. What I can now do is just, I've got a little bit of this happening on the side. I don't have to, but I'm going to put some sticky tape on the side. Here's some sticky tape. I use a big roll, so this is my big roll of sticky tape. It makes it easy to do the baggies. Fold that over. That's now ready to go. Open it up and you have your triangle. Fold it down. So I'm now ready to put my adhesive into here. And with the knife, it's really, really easy to get that adhesive in. I'm going to give it a bit of a shake down, and I can keep filling this up. Now remember, you don't want this mixture too wet. If it's too wet, it will end up cracking. It might end up cracking as it's drying. So, and if it's too thick when you're working on a very porous surface, that porous surface is going to take away the moisture from the adhesive. So it could dry very quickly as you're doing your mosaic. You will work out how wet your adhesive needs to be with each project as you get the practice. I'm now ready to pull this back up. And to zip it. So get that air out and zip it across. So we now have our baggie ready. I can then fold this over. And I've got another big piece of adhesive that I just place over the top. And that is my bag. It sits really, really nicely in my hand. It's easy to hold and it's really practical. The only thing I need to do now is make a hole at the very tip. I've got my scissors, make it really small to start with, just a little bit. And then squeeze it out. Perfect. There we go. And it oozes out really easily. It's nice and controllable. And as this bag empties, I can keep folding it over and adding more tape. And that should last me around about 2 hours. So this is the project that I thought I might do. The design I have is this. So that's the top of my mushroom. And I don't like the glaze, so I thought I might as well cover it because I really don't like the glaze. And this is the side design. So I've got on the side here, I've got a flower that I made. So that's one of my ceramic flowers. I've got some ceramic leaves, pottery leaves that I also made. So they will go really well. And I've also chosen another little flower. They're going to be my centerpieces. Then I've also got some little mosaic buttons that I made earlier. And I'm going to incorporate glass into this. I'm going to do a multimedia. This thinset says for glass mosaics. It also works really well for tile mosaics. So it's not going to be an issue at all. Glaze is glass, so doing the glass on glass is actually ideal for this adhesive that we're going to use. These are tiles, they're a ceramic back, but they are also going to stick without any issues. The other thing I'm going to do is I've got a sponge here to keep my hands nice and clean. So if I get any adhesive on my hands, it's not going to be an issue. That will be fine. I can draw my design with a Sculpey marker. So I've got my design here, and what I'm going to do is just roughly work out where I want everything to go. This is just a rough copy to give me an idea of what I'm doing. It's not set in concrete. I can change my mind as I'm going. So I don't have to follow this exactly. It's like a guideline. There you go. So I've got to start here so I know what I'm doing. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my baggie and I'm going to squeeze out the adhesive.
Onto my piece.
This I can now place on here very lightly. And make sure you don't squash it down so far that there is no adhesive left around it. So you can see there's lots of adhesive around it to help hold that in place. And amazingly, the beauty of this, it's actually holding that tile on top. Now, if it was a heavier tile like this poppy, it probably wouldn't hold as well. I need to make a thick consistency, but this is holding really nicely. I've got some leaves. Now I can attach a little bit onto the back of my leaves to make sure that they will stick. So that's one leaf, and I'm going to put another leaf just up here.
So squeeze it on.
The advantage of using a concrete thinset like this is that I don't have to go back in and grout it. I'm not a big fan of grouting. I don't like to grout. I like to try and avoid it. Also, I'm going to be using different textures, different levels of tessera, tiles and glass. So in grouting, it means that I've got very lumpy, bumpy surface. By just using my thinset, it's already looks like it's grouted, so I don't have to go back in and grout. When I'm working with glass and thinset, what I sometimes find is that my hands are going to get a little bit sticky and dirty, so I'm actually going to use a pair of tweezers to place the tessera down. And I need to add a little bit more of my and notice I keep turning it around so I can see what I'm doing. And the tiles are holding their place in shape. So I'll just show you what I have done so far. You can see where I've placed the tiles. There's a little bit of glue going up, but it looks like it's already been grouted, so I don't have to go back in and grout. Fantastic. I'm not going to finish this off today. It is going to take too long. I will do that in another tutorial. If you've liked what I've done today, can you please hit the like button, subscribe and ring that bell, and we'll see you later. Thank you for watching Hann-Made Studio, and I hope you have enjoyed seeing how your grout can become a thinset concrete adhesive for outside mosaics. Awesome. See you later. This is Cheryl Hann-Woodlock from Hann-Made Studio saying bye.